What's going on? Move the mouse here back in City Skylines, the town of Santa Rico, with our next episode of Let's Play Green Cities. And when we left off, we had started defining some high-density residential, and you kind of get a look and feel for some of the eco-friendliness of these buildings. They've got grass up on the roofs. But again, I think the models on the PC version are a little bit better. These just seem a little drab and flat. But we're doing our part to save the environment. Let's go ahead and hit play, get some money going. One of the things that we have to do is think about new power plant. And actually, maybe we can drop that in right now. Look at our info views, and electricity is in the yellow. So let's find a spot over here. We're going to start knocking out some of this industry. So let's blow out a street here. And actually blow out two streets because it's a pretty big footprint. And before anybody moves back in, let's just dezone that block. We want to eventually get rid of all this industry, high polluting stuff. So let's do that. We'll drop in our solar updraft tower. And as soon as this becomes active, we're going to be producing a ton more electricity than we need. So we will go back into our budget panel. Let's look at our info views. Electricity is almost 4 times what we need. So let's look at our budget. Can we get this all the way down to 50%? Should be able to, no problem. We can even deactivate buildings if we needed to. Oh wow, that knocked it down a lot further than I thought. So let's do this. Let's get rid of one of our... Nope, let's not bulldoze it. Let's turn off a coal power plant. And let's adjust our budget based on that now. So if we go into info views again, we need 155. We're at 100 right now. Let's try like 75%. So that's got us into the green for a while. We should be good there. All those water and power problems will go away in just a minute. There we go. And we've still got 57,000 in the bank. Let's get fire over here because we don't have fire coverage over here just yet. And that's going to be a problem. So as soon as we can, we'll drop in a firehouse, I think right here. Is that going to cover up into that residential area good? It is. Put right on the center block here. And we'll blow away all our money for our nice fancy fire station. So, with the little money that we have, let's continue our grid down. Come down 440. And go over from there. We're going to need it eventually, so we'll do that. And we'll run a quick power line over here just to power the fire station for now until we zone off in between. And power spreads naturally then. So police coverage will probably be next. Let's check out our death care coverage. We've got one cemetery covering the entire town. Let's throw one in down here. We'll put it here and we'll space the blocks out a bit. In fact, let's do this. Let's extend this avenue down. Another 30 units. And let's toss our cemetery on that street. Right there. Make some of the residents happy. That's good. We haven't done any parks or anything like that. So we'll definitely want to consider dropping some of those in, as well as we want to start, as we free up some money, dropping in some of the unique buildings so that we can eventually, when we get there, drop in our monuments. Now you may notice we have a huge demand for industrial right now. And rather than continue this high polluting filth that we see over here, we do want to start doing some offices. So maybe what we can do is some regular offices here, and then our big IT skyscrapers down towards the water. They have all the money for the oceanfront property, so we can rake in some tax revenue from them. We do have water here. We need more availability in the yellow. Water's pretty cheap, so let's go fix that problem right now. See if we can cram one more in here on the edge of the map before we kind of rework this system. So there is that. Let's look at where we want to do our, where we want to move our sewage to. So I think we're going to knock out this road. I think it'd be cooler to have a tunnel coming under here. Now I regret having done this. We'll still connect from there, but we'll rethink kind of how that's coming through the terrain. Let's throw in another sewage water drain. When do we get this? Unlocks at 16,000, which we're almost at. But we need the sewage coverage now, so let's try and cram it in right under the bridge. Kind of hide it away. And check out our info views. Electricity's good. We can raise the budget for that. Water is good. And by the time, hopefully, we need more sewage. Hopefully, we will hit that next population milestone and have the water treatment plants, which we can drop in to further purify the water. And then we'll start moving all these down that way so that we're not polluting right in front of our nice waterfront property here in the residential area. So we could meet some of that industrial demand with some office jobs. And we're going to do regular offices at first. So let's check our districts here. We have not defined IT clusters. So again, in kind of keeping with that tradition of going from low to medium to big buildings, we can throw in some offices before we throw in the IT offices. And we can start to do that here off of this block. So let's come back. We'll do the same thing. We'll do 12 units off the road so that we have a little bit of dead space there. Offices don't mind being next to the noise as much. We do have to do something about the traffic too, which is starting to develop because of traffic lights, which we haven't gone in to fix. So let's do that. We'll zone this off, we'll put some water, and then we'll start looking into our traffic situation, start editing some traffic lights. So water coverage is actually pretty good here. We just need to come out a little bit further on these pipes. And that's good for now. We can start building off as we get residential demand, some more residential areas up here. Let's zone some office space, and with that massive need for industrial, this should be met, and we should have enough educated citizens, hopefully. We don't have healthcare over here, so you'll notice the people that are complaining about noise, they're not getting the service that they need from a healthcare perspective, because we don't have a hospital up here. Let's throw in a med clinic for now, just to help these people out, and eventually we'll upgrade that to a hospital down here. Did my sewage already go into the red? Man, those eco-friendly pumps stink. Oh, no. I was gonna say those eco-friendly pumps are terrible, which they are in theory, because they don't do nearly as much output as the as the regular do. They pollute less, but you have to power them. And that was me being stupid. And let's see, do we not run water far enough south? We did not. I say south because it's my orientation, but that is... I think of the orientation the way that you load in. So the way that the map starts, you're facing this way. So I always think of that as north. But then sometimes I say it as the way that I'm oriented. So we've got office space filling in pretty quick. And you can see again, the residential buildings are a little taller, but as these offices upgrade, they'll get bigger too as they level up. Okay, so traffic problems. Now you see all this traffic here is building up because it's stopping the traffic on the rotary, which is stopping the traffic on the highway, because people are trying to turn in here and they're all sitting at a stoplight. So we can go over to our inspector tool, hold the Y button or triangle on PlayStation. When you zoom in, you have this ability to access the traffic lights. Now I want to say that this is part of the mass transit DLC. There's also mods that can do this on PC. If you have mass transit, I think it's connected to that DLC. Forgive me if I'm mistaken. How you get at this on the PC is you see the road names. Without anything selected, click on a road name, and then there's a little blue arrow thing, and you can look at traffic flow, and there's also a Junctions tab. And when you're looking at Junctions, that's basically what will show you the intersections. So right here, we know this is like our biggest problem intersection in the town right now. So we're going to turn off the traffic light, and I'm going to make people stop on the side streets. I want traffic to flow on this big avenue as much as possible. If we make people stop back here, that's okay. And again, same sort of principle. You have the most traffic flowing up and down through here. So let's stop the traffic on the side streets and give this main avenue the right of way. And then when we get to roads like this with a T intersection, we can stop usually the single road and again let the traffic flow that way. That would be more relevant if this was a longer road, right? But it also shouldn't cause any problems because it's not going to back up a lot of traffic on this block. So let's just look at this real quick. We can see where our traffic is backed up to on the highway. It's pretty bad, right? So let's play that and see. Hopefully this will help smooth things out a bit, because now traffic is going to get off of the street a little bit faster, which should ultimately speed people up over here on the rotary. Should reduce the backup over here. Now, the next problem that we have is all of these trucks. A lot of these are trucks that are bound for the industrial zone. As we start to move industry out and focus more on the office space, that's going to reduce some of the traffic on this side. Now, again, you can see we're starting to back up a little bit here onto the rotary, which is not good. We've got our new area, water treatment plant, crematorium. Those are going to be very important. And we've got a little bit of an influx of money now. So this is something that we have to look at. This ramp is too short. Right before this ramp, which is too short, we could connect a ramp directly from here to there, but we could also make these ramps a lot longer so that they don't back up onto the rotary. That's the last thing that we want, is traffic backing up on the rotary. The rotary is supposed to be a nice smooth way to get from east to west, to north to south, and switch highways if you need to. So we want to make sure that's not too bad. Eventually too, we will connect this highway over this rotary and down to that part of the city. So I'm going to try not to build too much off of this main strip, because I'm going to have highway running on either side of it basically, and that's going to carry through the town. Once we have good money too, you can do tunnels, but tunnels are more expensive. So that's something else we can do to get highway access way down there towards the waterfront. Now we've got money. We could fix our healthcare situation down here, but it's actually pretty decent with that little med clinic. It's not too bad, so it should get us by for now. Let's work on some of the other problems that are popping up. So bring out our inspector tool. If you ever don't know what a bubble is, you can inspect on a building and it will tell you what that problem is. So there's not enough customers there. You just need more residents nearby. Over here, the blue dot is not enough educated workers. We are working on that. We have decent education coverage. Over here, this one's hopefully self-explanatory enough. This is a crime rate police icon. There's a burglary happening. Some sort of crime going on right there. Right now, maybe somebody pirating software. FBI's on the way there. It just takes them a little longer to get there because they're way far out. They will get there eventually, as long as there's decent coverage. But if we look at our info views and the police badge, you can kind of see where they can cover well is in the green. So this is kind of on the edge and the outskirts, but we don't need a new police station just for these couple houses. They will get there. If it becomes enough of a problem, we can deal with it. So let's consider our sewage problem over here. And let's pull out this thing that we just built. We'll pause real quick. Let's knock that out. Let's go into pipe view and knock this pipe out too, just so we can kind of put this where we want. We'll even get rid of the power line there. And let's put a water treatment plant which reduces 85% of the pollution for $15,000. The one that we eventually want to get to is the eco-friendly, which totally purifies. We don't get there until $32,000. So for right now, we can reduce some of our pollution. That thing is huge. We'll throw 2 of these in right there underneath the bridge. Connect them with pipes first, then we'll connect it to these pipes, and then we'll double check our power connections. A little bit of an extension cord there. Okay, now let's look at our sewage handling. We'll hit play, go to info views and water, and once those become active, that should put us up into the way into the green. So let's knock a couple of these out, hopefully. Let's see what knocking out 1 does. Knock out 2. We can probably do this. So let's get rid of all of these, and if we have to, we'll build another station down the road. That is instantly going to start cleaning up that water in front of this property. So that has 2 effects. One, obviously it reduces the pollution. So we'll see this as time passes slowly start to fade away. In fact, if we wait here a minute, you can see it's actually receding pretty quickly. That dark line at the edge of my cursor, you can see that it is receding and moving away as new fresh water flows into the area. So that will go away pretty quick. The other thing that has an effect on is, or it should have an effect on, is land value. So it's not negatively impacting it too much, but it is preventing it from going up. See, the area down here that's waterfront that didn't have any pollution is higher land value. That should increase the land value and therefore increase the taxes that we get from those buildings. Another thing we can do, which we have not done yet, is drop in parks. Now you can drop in regular parks, and those are nice. But we also need to start dropping in some unique buildings, and the first level of unique buildings is all parks. So we've got a bit of money. We could do the bird and bee haven. I kind of want to focus on things, though, that are going to matter most for the monuments that I care about. So Hadron Collider does education. Fusion Power Plant obviously does power. Medical Center covers medical for the town. Eden Project reduces pollution across the entire map. And the Space Elevator brings in tons of tourists, which can bring in tons of money into your city. But you also have to have good traffic flow to support all that. So the one that I think I want to start with is the Fusion Power Plant. I think once you get to that point of unlocking monuments, once you drop in the Fusion Power Plant, you no longer have to worry about power, unless you expand your city to ridiculous population. I haven't had to worry about that. But that negates one of the most expensive things you have going forward for the growth of your city. So I think we'll start with that. We'll start kind of trying to cram those buildings in. Now this park has a bubble of noise pollution and then an area of happiness. So we can kind of minimize, let's see what that would look like right down there. So that has a not too bad overlap, but it's not affecting enough population there, right? Because we have all that stuff up towards the university, it's just dead zone. So if we can put it in more someplace like here, that's going to have a much bigger happiness effect on the residents. So let's drop that in there. That will make them happy. Now, one thing we could do is break out our zoning tool. Let's actually dezone. Okay, that's all dezoned. And let's dezone this. Because you wouldn't have a house with a backyard right in a park like that. So it's kind of nice to have a park kind of off on its own in this little corner. And this gives us just enough room to cram a metro station in here, which I do want to have metro routes along this main 4-lane road that runs up through here. We'll have a couple metro stops, and we'll have a lot more in this neighborhood, specifically again on these crossroads that support all the most traffic coming through the city. Now, if I remember right, I think we just unlocked another area. We did. These two make the most sense for where we're building out next. I think this one on the right is the better one for building out what we want to do. So let's do that. We'll continue this road down. This is 30 units out, so we can start to do some side streets off of here. Maybe we can even connect like that. But I think what I want to do is every third road, so every third cross street, like 1, 2, 3. I think I want those to be a 6-lane avenue as well too, that we can support more traffic coming north to south on the outskirts of the city. And depending on the routes, people sometimes take the most direct route, but the AI wants to path towards what is fastest, and bigger roads are faster. And depending on what we do with stoplights and things like that, that might make sense. Let's just upgrade this now. So we'll go over to our 6-lane roads to remind me later on that that is the scheme that we're doing. And those will rebuild because we've got a ton of industry demand. Now I want to show you what happens with the IT cluster. So let's come down. Let's do our streets off here first. We'll just do, what did we do up here? We'll go 20 units out on either side just to kind of space things out a bit and to give me kind of a marker for where my zoning is. So we'll come down another 3 and start building blocks off of this. So we're going to come out 12 units off this first road and connect like that. Then we're going to come 11 units. Is that going to snap? It is not good. So let's do that to start. We'll come off again 12. And we'll do our first kind of high-rise buildings over here. Now, okay, we've got crime happening over here. And we've got money. So let's see, that is our fire department. So let's put our police station right next door on this central avenue on the rotary. We'll do our hospital like right across the street when we eventually drop that in. Let's put some water down here. And because I can't come down here 440 units on the edge of the map, I'm going to come down over this way. Just so we can get the last part of this block covered in water. We want to continue expanding to the north. So let's get our district tool out. Let's de-district this. And make sure that all of this is covered in its own district. That works for now. We'll zone it off as office, which does meet industrial demand. And I think I kind of want to work with this forest again to cram some giant parks in later on, but we'll see. It's relatively flat, which is good. We can build down there, and maybe at some point we'll branch off of this highway and get an area down here for like shipping and trains and things like that. I haven't looked at. That's actually going to be a problem. So with the tiles I was planning on purchasing, we don't have access to trains, unfortunately. I don't think. So we don't have any outside connections for trains. But if we could have good highway access and connect it to an internal network, we can get some cargo shipping around the city. So let's do this. We've got a couple little blocks defined so far. We'll go into our office specializations and define this district as an IT cluster. So the IT cluster requires less workers, consumes more electricity, but also generates more tax revenue. So if you have an educated workforce, but not a lot of them, these buildings should be more successful than some of the other office or commercial zones that need educated workers. But the electricity drain is a downside, but making more money back means you can afford to upgrade your power plants and upgrade other parts of the city. So let's go ahead and hit play. Again, we have a massive industrial demand, and office zones do meet that. So these should spin up really quick, and you'll see that these are office zones over here with the default specialization, no specialization defined. Those, whoa, those are IT clusters. And I want to take you back here and take a look at this. So this is the kind of feel that I'm going for, right? Is you have this small suburb here, and kind of way off in the distance over the hill, you've got that big downtown area, but it's a gradual increase, right? You have the commercial buildings on the main drag, you have the little neighborhoods off on the side, you have your highway acting as a separator. We can fill this in with more trees, and then you've got your larger residential buildings. What would make more sense in retrospect is if we went and did like a commercial park or office park here, residential high density in the middle, and then this. But I think it still has that good feel, and I think it looks especially cool if we go into cinematic mode. And again, we look from down here in this neighborhood. You know, you can just see the tip of those skyscrapers off in the distance. I really like the look of this, and I think I'm going to like how this city eventually comes together. Let me know your thoughts, though. Do you have kind of particular cities in mind, I guess, when you're building things? Are you thinking about, you know, the big city that you live in or near? When you're building a town, you just kind of build to build. I'm trying to kind of make things flow a little bit more sensically. You know, this giant solar updrift tower is eventually going to get moved out. We're going to slowly move out all of our industry over here and get rid of this pollution. And we'll be able to do another neighborhood that kind of curves around this part of the forest. We'll probably end up breaking down these kind of boxy neighborhoods, and I want things to kind of flow more naturally with the terrain and around the trees, sort of like we did here. I'll try and smooth the terrain out before I build so that you don't get these jagged edges. We might be able to fix a little bit of that. So if we break out the terrain tool and go to soften terrain, we can increase the size and the strength and try and soften that up a little bit, but it won't actually impact the area where the houses already are or the roads. Like they're where they are, so it's not going to smooth out everything too much, but it might help smooth some of these ridges in the back of the property if we run over it a couple times with the landscaping tool. It gets expensive though, so this is a big money sink, unfortunately. And you can see it has a little bit of an effect, but not too much. So ideally, if you want real smooth lines, do them before you plant down roads or zoning. That has a little bit of a smoothing effect. little bit better, a little less jagged there. But some of it's unavoidable because the lot gets plopped down there, and it is a flat lot, and then it just has to compensate for that difference in the terrain. Some of them are pretty bad. Some of them are not, you know, are ignorable. Some are like this, and you end up with that horrible parking space that, again, I believe there's like 17 bumpers of cars in the Lost and Found here at the Creative Arts Institute. Let's take a look at our town. We've got some abandoned commercial buildings happening. Let's go clean some of that up. Make space for new people to move in. It's all commercial, it looks like, that is having a problem. Whoops. Did you see all the people scatter when I bulldozed that building when they were in it? Oh, notice the problem that we're having up here is garbage. We have not set up a dump anywhere over here. So let's do that. We've got some money. Let's define our neighborhoods over here. So we'll go 12 off of the main, because again, that lets us have that little bit of dead zone. And then 11 between 2-lane roads gives us that same dead zone where we can do pedestrian pass through there. So I just want to plan out my grid here. We can always continue these closer to the highway after. But right down here on the highway, let's do we'll do a dump. And we'll do recycling. And we've unlocked incinerator, so let's throw an incinerator over in our area over here. And let's hit play and look at our info views for garbage, and hopefully... There it is. Our processing status is in the yellow. I forgot to power these buildings. They do need power and water. Incinerator plant does not need power because it produces power. I'll just continue this up here for now because we can connect these grids if we want for nice, smooth 440 connections. Not that we need to water the highway, but we do need to water these zones, so... Okay, so let's see. I don't know if that impacts the processing capability technically, if they're not... Ooh, that's new. I haven't seen that before. So garbage processing. When it's in the green, you're processing, you're recycling or burning off more garbage than you're storing. If it's in the yellow or the red, you're piling up garbage and not processing it fast enough. So if you want to prevent your landfills from filling up, build incinerators, build recycling plants. They both send out trucks, or I should say all three of them send out trucks and will perform the relevant action. If you want to empty a dump, you can select it and then choose to empty it, and it will take it to one of the processing facilities. So it will bring it to an incinerator or a recycling plant. Recycling trucks have a different look too. Let's see if we can catch one of them on the road still. There should be one on the rotary here. Thought we saw some trucks leaving. They're a green truck. There we go. There's one. That right there. It runs on biofuel, so it's friendlier to the environment. That's collecting for the incineration plant, and some are collecting for the dump. Ooh. Ooh, triple fire happening. Let's get out in front of it and make sure that doesn't spread. We'll just demolish this building next door. Looks like they would have stopped it, but again, we're trying to move the industry out and focus in on the IT jobs, which I think have a very nice look. I think these add something nice to the city. You have all these different zones now. You have the regular houses, and then the eco-friendly houses. You have the regular commercial, the eco-friendly commercial, and the standard office and the IT office. So these are the standard offices here. And the eco-friendly, the IT offices. So I think it gives you this way to really kind of specialize different districts. Of course, you have your regular industry. Nice. 19,000, third loan. Let's get that money right away. Because, man, do we spend money fast now. So we could drop in a bunch of parks. In fact, let's look at our unique buildings and see if there's a park that would be cool to drop in over here in our residential area. So you have the Fountain of Life and Death and the Friendly Neighborhood Park. Life and Death is the fusion power plant, which I think is the first one that we put in. So let's throw Life and Death in and continue on progressing towards our fusion power plant. Now, let's see where put this. That would be kind of cool. Right across the street from the school would be nice. So, oh, good. Let's circle back on this, right? So we fixed this intersection, which prevented cars from backing up on this street, which prevented cars from backing up on the rotary, which, as you can see, has things firing much better over here. The problem that we're still having is all these trucks coming into industry. So that's slowing down this rotary. We haven't looked at our intersections down there, so maybe we could improve that a bit too. So we could drop it right there and affect a lot of happiness. We could put it right here and assume that we're going to have more residents move in over in this vicinity as well. Or if I kind of slap it in the middle of this block and we move in more residents, that's going to have kind of the biggest impact overall. So maybe let's do that. Let's see if we can line this up with that street. Let's do this. We'll do this the easier way. Rather than trying to line it up with where the streets are going to be, let's make the streets and then connect them and just slap the park down in between there, because that's going to be a lot easier than trying to guess if we're right on the grid or not. We've got a little bit of industry demand and a tiny sliver of residential. So we'll throw this in here and then call it a day. So again, we're going to do the Fountain of Life and Death because that gets us another step closer to our fusion power plant. And I want to do it kind of right where it's going to have the most impact, which is right, of course, where those houses are moving in. I didn't connect this one last street, which we should just have enough room for behind the cemetery. We do, good. And then we'll drop in our Fountain of Life and Death. And if we can center it, that would be great. Looks like we can. Perfect. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to de-zone on either side of that. So let's break out our selection tool. We don't need anyone living right behind the cemetery or right next to the park. It's okay to have a little bit of dead space. Tempting to cram in every spot, but it also looks pretty cool to have, you know, a little bit of grass, a little bit of sidewalk, a little bit of area for people to breathe. So let's look at this. Let's maybe have a path that runs back here so that people can access the park from multiple sides. Let's space it out a couple blocks. So we'll go from, to zoom in. It likes to snap. So there, we've got a little bit of a sidewalk cutting through this block, and we can go right to there so people can access this park from this side as well too without having to walk all the way around. It's already pretty hopping in there. I like it. And now let's go fill in the rest of our area over here with residential. Nope. So be careful of that. The pavement paths, if I have the fill tool on, the pavement paths are still zonable. They don't separate out, and you would be zoning back where we just zoned on either side of the park. So that doesn't make any sense. So we'll stay with the selection tool here, and we'll zoom out. Let's do that. We'll do the same thing over here. Let's get a little footpath through here. the more you can encourage people to walk or take metro or whatever it might be, the better off your town's going to be. So let's do some little footpaths here. Get people walking around. Then we'll zone around these. So we've got that tiny little bit of dead space that we saved exactly for this purpose, to help people kind of move around the zones without having to walk a long way, which tempts them to take their cars. So we've done that. We could probably do that through here as well too. So if we wanted to, we're gonna knock out any giant skyscrapers. We're not. That's good. Do that. Let's double check our zoning, because again, I think zoning sometimes doesn't care about those footpaths. That worked though. And again, this is a really long block that, you know, if I had to go from here to diagonally across, it saves me a little bit. But you'll see people kind of walking through there. I might not do that on every block, maybe on every other block, because like a block like this, you can see we've got tall buildings that we would have to break. This one's a massive building. Wow. So we'll do that when we can, provide people some different ways to cut through. But let's zone this off, double check our water and power coverage and things like that, and then we'll call it a day. So that's not going to fill up too fast, unfortunately. If we do some more office space, that's going to fill up pretty quick. As you can see here, so we're having some problems with the office space. This little icon right here is they don't have enough places to sell their goods to. Not enough buyers for products. So, you know, they're making high-tech products. There's not enough people to buy them. So you need more commercial space, but right now there's not a whole lot of demand for commercial. So we could do regular office space, and it won't have the same problems that these have. So maybe we could do some office park over here, especially since we've got pollution. Office doesn't care about the pollution. Office doesn't care about the pollution as much. So just to be safe and just to make sure we don't get giant skyscrapers over there, we're gonna do regular office zoning over here. So we'll fill that in a bit. Always separate that out later. Maybe we don't need to be right up on top of the dump. Although these people wanted to move in there right away, so I hope you hand out respirators to your staff. I would not want to work right next to a place that was burning hot garbage all day. So that office space is filling up super quick. We've got a water problem, which is either going to be electricity or just outright water sewage capacity. So our electricity is getting down there. You can see it's affecting the sewage pumps. It affects the edge of the grid first. Our dump is full. So let's fix these last two problems and then call it a day. So we'll connect this to here. That should give us room for a second dump and a couple incinerators. We've got money. Let's throw in another incinerator and another recycling plant. We'll do one right across the street from our other one. That way we can process garbage and not just simply pile it up. We'll start emptying this dump. Those trucks will be committed to that. They're not doing anything when the dump is full anyways. And then this dump will start picking up garbage for our town. The recycling plant and incineration plant will pick up as well too and process it and not have to worry about piling it up. And eventually when this one fills up, we'll turn this one back on and the cycle continues. So you can see here our coal power plants are having a problem because they can't get trucks to deliver coal to them because of the traffic backlog. So in the next episode, I keep kind of having to push off projects, and You know, I'd like to keep things moving in the series, but unfortunately, you end up having to deal with and troubleshoot problems. Although a lot of people have commented that's kind of one of the things that you like about it, is seeing the problems that we run into and kind of how we deal with them on the fly. So that'll knock our electricity budget back up. That will solve, I think, our sewage treatment problem for a little bit. So we're going to have to do more sewage treatment plants. If we want to kind of have them in a straight row, we can landscape here and smooth this out a bit. But that is a problem for a future episode. We will continue on building our green city here. I hope you like the look of it so far. I think there's some interesting ideas in here. We're not going to worry about the industrial problems. We are going to worry about power problems in a future episode. So next episode, we'll probably drop in another solar updraft tower. We unlock nuclear power at 42,000. So hopefully a second solar updraft tower will get us to that point. And then after that, we'll eventually get the fusion plants. Ocean thermal energy is another new one. This requires water. You get a plant on the shoreline. We don't unlock that till 42,000. That has a massive 480 unit output. This is only 240, but nuclear power is 640. So there's definitely some benefits to, you know, some of these newer power plants. They're friendlier on the environment, and they definitely start to scale up better, but they cost a pretty penny. So we'll tackle all those problems in the next episode. We will slowly let our industry crumble so we can eventually get it out of here. At the very least, kind of move it away, if not get rid of it altogether, and focus all on the high-tech IT cluster that will slowly start building out with our well-educated population. Hopefully you enjoyed the episode. If you did, likes, comments, shares all help the channel a lot and are greatly appreciated. If you're new here, subscribe for more City Skylines and other great gaming videos. And while you're at it, consider hitting the bell to get notifications, because it's very easy for a small channel like mine to get lost in the shuffle. Until the next one though, this is Move the Mouse, signing off.